morning, wrestling fans, and welcome to the first ever edition of The Fan Club. I am your host, Fanboy1977, here to take you on a tour of all things professional wrestling. Before I get started, let me just do a quick little thing here. First of all, I want to apologize for the suckiness of the quality of the video. Um, don't exactly have a really great camera, and of course, I got that stupid microphone. Um, hey, you got to work with what you got, don't right? Anyway, um, since it's a new year, I thought I would actually a new decade. I thought the first show I would do a little quick look back at the decade that was, which actually leads me to the question of what exactly do you call this past decade? I mean, the zeros? Anyway, that's another thing. Um, some of the best of this past decade. Starting with match of the decade. At least my personal humble opinion of match of the decade, it's a no-brainer. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. Is there any doubt in anyone's mind that this was the best match of the decade? It had everything you could want in a match. This is a match that I would set a non-wrestling fan in front of and say, watch this match. This is why I love professional wrestling. This right there. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, WrestleMania 25. It had near falls. It had awesome entrances. It had a great storyline going into it. It it told a story in the ring. It had everything you could want in a great match. Which leads me to kind of wonder about this new thing of them apparently wanting to do it again. Now, when I first heard this, my first gut reaction was, you can't improve on perfection. I started thinking of Rock Hogan 1, which was another awesome match. It's another match I would show people that weren't wrestling fans and say, this is why I like professional wrestling. But for totally different reasons. But, like I said, at first I kept thinking to myself, you can't improve on perfection. Why you're doing this again? It's not going to be as good as the first one, probably. But then I remembered it's Shawn Michaels, and all my arguments just went out the door because it's Shawn Michaels. Need I say more? Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid, Mr. WrestleMania. Okay, so I guess I do say more. Anyway, but yeah, there's my pick for match of the decade. Other nominees would be, as I said, Rock Hogan 1, Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair from WrestleMania 25, the Unbreakable 3-Way from the Unbreakable pay-per-view. I can't remember the exact year, but of course, that being Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and AJ Styles. Another TNA match that would be on there would be, again, I can't remember the year or the pay-per-view, but it was an Ultimate X match. And I know some of you hardcore wrestling fans are probably going to get on me for forgetting the year. I've slept since then, okay? I can't remember if I could probably find it out if I wanted to. But I'm lazy, and I don't want to take the time to look right now. But it was an Ultimate X match. AJ Styles versus Petey Williams versus Chris Sabin. It's the one where it ends with AJ springboarding off the top rope and grabbing the title. Awesome match. Really, the first Ultimate X match I saw personally, um, and really just changed my whole concept of what a professional wrestling match could be. And really helped turn me into a TNA fan for a long time. Um, can't really say I'm that much of a TNA fan right now, um, simply because one thing, the quality of the programming has really gone downhill. Storyline wise, at least, the talent's still there. I mean, they still have awesome talent, but you have at one point you have AJ Styles, and then you have Big Papa Dump. Go away. You have Samoa Joe, and then Kevin Nash. I sorry, I just don't want to go off on a whole rant there, but yeah. Um, oh, so that brings us next to Wrestler of the Decade. Now, I took a little poll on another wrestling site. Quick little plug here. Loadsofpain.com, LOPforums.com. Great site if you want to talk with. Sorry about that. If you want to talk to fellow wrestling fans and just get a whole wide variety of opinions out there. And I did a similar poll to this, what I'm talking about right now, Wrestler of the Decade. And interestingly enough, the majority of people picked one certain person to be Wrestler of the Decade. Almost just far and wide picked one name came out. That was Kurt Angle. Good choice. Not mine personally. And I'll tell you why. I'll go down a list of people that could have been, in my opinion, Wrestler of the Decade, but in my opinion aren't. Let's start with Mr. Angle. He's won numerous titles throughout the decade, including TNA title, WCW title, albeit WCW while it was part of the WWE. But that's another show. I'll go into a whole different topic. I'll talk about the WCW title while it was in WCW and the WCW title while it was in WWE, and why it actually had more meaning in WWE than it did in WCW. But like I said, that's a whole other show. Anyway, WWF / WWE champion, World Heavyweight champion. He probably would have been ECW champion if he had stayed. In fact, there's no doubt he would have been ECW champion. One of the greatest technical wrestlers, at least in the Big Two. You can't deny that. But to me, when I use the term greatest wrestler of the decade, I'm using the broadest sense of the term as someone who competes in a pro wrestling match. And yes, Angle is good. Angle knows how to tell a story in the ring. He's got great mic skills. He can be a great heel or a great face, either one. But I'm looking for someone who has transcended the business. Someone who